Werner Herzog. So has anyone seen the film Little Dieter Needs to Fly? Yeah? Do you know anything about it? Like, have you ever... Yeah. Okay. So Herzog is a guy, I don't know how familiar you are with his work, huge inspiration for me just as a filmmaker, let alone as a sort of filmmaker that whose films I like, just as a person he's an inspiration. He makes truthful films, but he sees documentary, he sees like the idea of truth in documentary or the idea of facts just to a point abhorrent. He says, like, if you're going to make a film about facts, it's accountant filmmaking, because that's what accountants deal with. They just deal with facts. Whereas as humans, we want to deal with truth. So he goes to great lengths to, I guess, to find ways of showing the truth, but you're never really sure what you're seeing or whether it's true or not. Actually, I'll just fast forward.
Instructions. And I had this vision. Dad didn't want. Dad didn't really want. Men are often haunted by things that happen to them in life, especially in war or other periods of great intensity. Sometimes you see these men walking the streets or driving in a car. Their lives seem to be normal, but they are not. When I'm driving my car, I often hear the voices of my dead friends. Sometimes my friend Dwayne Martin calls me and tells me that his feet are cold. Because of this, even on a warm, sunny day, I keep my convertible top up. I was shut down over Laos in 1966 in the early phase of the Vietnam War. I never wanted to go to war. I only got into this because I had one burning desire, and that was to fly. But that there were people down there who suffered and who died only became clear to me much later, when I was their prisoner. This is Dieter Dengler. He came to America 40 years ago, and for the last 15 years he has lived on Mount Tamalpais, north of San Francisco. It's a lot of fun.
say this really seems strange to most people, but to me it's very important. It denotes freedom to be able to open or close a door. When I was a prisoner, I couldn't open the door, and later on when I was dying, those big doors in the sky would open up. And so most people don't realize how important it is and the privilege that we have to be able to open or close a door. So anyway, now that I got into it, Now this is the inside of my home. As you see, when you come into my house right away, there are pictures of open doors. It's been always very important to me. It gives me a sense of freedom. Walking to my house, when I built this house 15 years ago, I focused on having this open feeling. It was very important to me that I'm on top of the mountain. I need to find some kind of canyon. So looking right here, you see a P-51 Spitfire. Flying was always very important to me as a child. There are little motors in there, I don't know if they still work. Climb up there and see. Yes, they do. Anyway, again, just standing here, you see that I do have an open feeling in this house. There's a large stove. I really enjoy to cook. Food is very, very, very important to me. As you see, there's a lot of food. The refrigerator is always packed full with food. The cupboard is full of food. In fact, as I look in there, it's half empty. And not only that, below the house, I have an emergency provision that I put in there years ago that's kind of holding down there. Well, I'm really curious myself now to see if everything is in good shape down here. There's carpet here. And there's the 5 gallon containers. Everything seems to be still in good shape down here. There's 1,000 pounds of rice. There's 1,200 pounds of flour and wheat. There's 300 pounds of honey. There's sugar down there. Tell you, I probably never need any of this food, but I can sleep so much better knowing that it's down there.
So, Dieter's an ex-prisoner of war. There was a film called Rescue Dawn that was made about him that Herzog made as well. And he was kept in captivity. He was almost starved to death. And so, the film goes on to he goes through and reenacts his experience. He goes back to Korea and meets his captors and gets handcuffed and dragged through the jungle and stuff to, sort of recreates exactly what happened to him. And I love this film when I saw it, and I got my own copy and I've watched it many times. And then I heard a podcast of Herzog talking about this film, and people asked him about the inaccuracies of the film, and I was like, what do you mean? Like, it's so beautifully observed, and very little interview, and it's all archival stuff, so how could it be untrue? And Herzog started to say, yeah, there's a whole lot of stuff I made up in that film. I'm like, what do you mean? He says, well, at the beginning of the film, when the guy gets out and starts closing doors, I asked him to do that. And so he asked Dieter, he said, look, I think there's something about you, and I think it's probably, this is the point where it gets, you can argue about. There's something about you, I think an audience is going to have difficulty accessing who you are as a character. And you're about to take them on this huge journey, and I need an audience to feel empathy for you. So Herzog, I guess, knew his story, and he went, I need something that symbolises what being free means to you. And so he asked Dieter to have this OCD compulsion to open and close doors. And I watch it knowing that now, and it doesn't feel right. Like, it feels awkward when you watch it.
Were the pictures in the house though? Were they real?
They were there, but the doors.
Yeah, the doors.
Yeah, they were there, but they didn't symbolise anything to Dieter. He just bought them cheap at a garage sale. So they were there, but he asked. That also could be, it's a subconscious thing of come on, dude, like, yeah. But it wasn't like when Herzog first asked him, it was like, oh, I just like them. They were cheap. They were $10 or something at a flea market. And then he said, no, like, you can't say that. I want you to say this. But everything else, the food under the house and stuff, that's all there. But it's kind of like, whether how ethical that is, and Herzog does it all the way through his filmmaking career. It's almost what he does. But I guess it's a way of going, what's more important, facts or the actual truth of what it is to be a character who's been imprisoned? Like, what does it actually mean to be imprisoned? What does it actually mean to have doors that you can open and walk freely? And I guess it's a very simplistic way to demonstrate to an audience how much of an effect this has had on this, shaped this guy as a human being.
And when asked, he said he just is terribly upfront saying what he is anyway.
Herzog?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, it's no big deal with him.
No, it hasn't been caught out, but he never reveals it. He'll never say, asterisk, this is not true. Yeah, only if asked, yeah. There's another film, The Cave of Forgotten Dreams, that we're talking about today, that he, it's about this cave that's in France and it's 40,000 years old, and there's a vault entrance to it, and he gets 12 hours access to it. But the film, he ends up talking about radioactivity in the earth and how it's turned the alligators nearby white. And the alligators aren't anywhere nearby. He shot them in America. But there's this whole sequence at the end of the film where you're just staring at albino alligators. But what it does, it makes you think about the earth in a really different way. And he's not saying he's not being science. He's not interested in science or what I said, like accountant's facts. He's interested in the truth. And I guess that's something that it gave me license in a way to be able to take what, like it's justification for me in a way where I've been deeply in love with observational filmmaking at a purest level, and just go, actually no, I can chip into this and have fun with it and alter it if it's hopefully revealing more human aspects about who we are.
It's almost like the power of metaphor, in a visual capacity, to try to delve into far deeper kind of emotions and concepts. So just simply on the talking.
Yeah.
And that's a really clever way of storytelling, even though it may not be intrinsically true to Dieter's life. It says so much to the audience immediately.
Yeah.
It's like also, I would suggest that both in documentary and drama, viewers directors are searching for the truth. And the truth is not a fact. Drama is the dramatic truth. It's the truth of the performance. People who are actors will understand that. And that's with an actor. That's what we're trying to get. So that when we watch it, we go, we feel it, we think it connects with us. If it's not truthful, we see through it every time.
It's always interpretation of truth, so it's not true.
Well, sometimes it's a parable. Like, a parable makes things, a truth so much more seductive. So that, sometimes naked truth can be too harsh, So it's clothed in parable to make it interesting.
Yeah.
Or comedy. Like, I love comedy.
But you know what I mean by dramatic truth? I'm not talking about being
Oh, yeah.
factual. I mean, it's the essence of it is right, I suppose is a better way of saying it. And you're trying to find that as the director, so that you can relate whatever the story is, whatever the scene is.
Well, Herzog calls it the ecstatic truth. The ecstatic truth, where it transgresses from being facts and truth. It's just something else that's, I don't know how to describe it, but when I watch his films, I get access to it. And I mean, Grizzly Man is another example. There's moments in Grizzly Man that are totally fabricated, even though it's one of the greatest documentaries ever.
I just love when he gets into the mind of the bear. Like that overarching narration he always has, and he's like, the bear is thinking this, you're like, come on.
Yeah. There's another great, in that Cave of Forgotten Dreams, there's a lovely moment where he's talking to these anthropologists, these scientists, and they've been studying these ancient people that, I don't know if it's 200,000 years, it's like the oldest cave in the world. And these guys have dedicated their lives to studying these people. And they're talking away and, they're explaining, the habits and what they would have done and how they lived and stuff. And Herzog just says, and what do you think they dreamed of?
Yeah.
And there's a point where the scientists just fall silent. And in a way, it sort of reveals, I guess, what his aim in filmmaking is I'm not interested in the facts. I want to know what makes us human. So tell me, do you think they dreamed? Is there a way that these that you can, how do you gauge that? How do you, like, you know what they ate, what they used to draw on the walls with, but what did they dream of? And they're the things that aren't quantitative. You can't say, well, they dreamt of wild animals attacking them. I don't know, like, yeah. Yeah.
About the kind of ethical dilemmas sometimes in doing that kind of thing. Like, I think a great example of that is Joshua Palme's act of killing.
Yeah.
So,
which I haven't seen. We were talking about that last night, but
okay. Yeah. It's really along those lines, like where you kind of draw those boundaries. And is that something that you struggle with?
I mean, I haven't struggled with it with my film work because I've been, hopefully making a career out of melding those ideas together. Definitely when I made Gallipoli, which is a 7-hour dramatic interpretation of what happened at Gallipoli 100 years ago. And we used Les Carlisle's book about Gallipoli, and I mean, I had to try, like I was very much into the idea, like if we don't go to the effort now at the 100th anniversary to explore what happened back then, no one's probably going to do it, ever. Because say in 50 years' time, I mean even 100 years since, no one who was there is alive now, and there's already that gap of what is, you get into historical truth, it's what's remembered by who won, by, like who's in control, all that sort of stuff.